So usually when I build one of my wall art sculptures, I begin with a centerpiece and then I build the framework around it. So the frame is almost always based on the centerpiece that I find. But sometimes when I'm doing rustic woodworking, I like to do things differently than what I normally do. And that's going to be the case today. So what I've got here is I've got this really nice piece of wood. It's a little over 6 foot tall and it's probably about 9 or 10 inches wide. And it's got some really beautiful grain patterns on it and really interesting knots. And it's actually really nice on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build the frame first. And I haven't even found any sort of centerpiece yet. So the plan is I'm going to cut this piece of wood in half, and then I'm going to take both halves and mount them onto a piece of plywood so that both halves are side by side. And then I'm going to look for some sort of centerpiece that would look good within the framework. And then after I find it, I'm going to cut a hole in the middle of the frame and then mount the centerpiece. So this is opposite of what I normally do. And I really have no idea if this is going to turn out, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a try, and I guess we'll see what happens. Okay, so I've got my piece of rustic wood cut in half, and I've also got my piece of plywood cut that the two pieces of rustic wood are going to be mounted to. The only thing is, before I nail the rustic wood pieces onto the plywood, I want to go ahead and find a centerpiece that looks good in the middle of these two rustic wood pieces. and cut the hole. And the reason that I want to cut the hole before I attach these rustic wood pieces to the plywood is that it's going to be a lot easier for me to cut through the rustic wood by itself and then the plywood by itself rather than both layers at once. And the other reason is because I don't want to nail these pieces of rustic wood to the plywood and then go to cut the hole and end up cutting through one of my nails. Okay, so I've actually got a really nice piece of wood that I want to use as a centerpiece. The only thing is that I'm going to make this centerpiece two separate pieces. So I really like the end of this piece of wood right here, and I also really like the other end right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this end right about here somewhere, and then I'm going to cut this end right about here somewhere, and then use the two ends of this piece of wood as the centerpiece. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do something that I've never actually done before. I'm going to offset these two centerpieces, and the reason is because if I try to run them both right down the middle, then I'm going to end up cutting into this knot right here. And this knot is actually one of my favorite things about this frame, so I definitely want to save this. Now, here's the thing about this type of rustic woodworking. A lot of times I have to take my chances and do things I've never done before, and the big risk is that it might not look good and it might not turn out good. So, you know, that's the chance I'm going to take right now, but all I can do is just try it, and I guess we'll see how it looks. So the wall art wood sculpture's all done. Now typically when I build one of these, I begin with a centerpiece and I build the frame around that. But in this case, I actually did it the exact opposite than what I normally do. So I found the perfect piece of wood to build the frame out of first. And once the frame was built, then I had to figure out a way to put a centerpiece within the framework. So I used 2 different pieces of wood as the centerpiece. And the reason that I did that is because if I would have used 1 piece of wood as the centerpiece and run it right down the middle of the frame, I would have had to have cut into this knot right here. So by using 2 different pieces of wood, I was able to save this entire knot. And that's one of my favorite features of this frame. So when it comes to doing these wall art wood sculptures, I don't really have a set of rules that I follow. I guess the only rule that I follow is to follow the wood. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and good luck on your next woodworking project. Oh, hey guys, the video is all done. It's over. There's nothing else for me to show you. But anyway, I really hope to see you guys on the next one. Take care now.